Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. Poor Ethan got completely slammed. You guys are thirsty tonight. Thank you. All right, welcome to Louder Than a Mom. I'm Kate. This is Erin. Dee is off doing something super fancy right now. Yeah, as per usual, probably with martinis involved, right?
This is Kate. We have been here for over 10 years.
11th year. Thanks to you. Thank you so much.
We're so excited for all of you to hear all of their stories and also just to be here together. I'm going to assume at least a bunch of you had a shitty week. I mean, if the rain didn't give it away, probably all our tears did. And probably the amount of drinking, Kate.
Yeah.
So bravo.
I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear any words
No,
about
no,
it. I want to hear stories only.
Yes, and I use interpretive dance, so we'll get to that.
Right.
We're so excited you're here. If you haven't been here before, we're going to have 5 tellers, and we're going to have a little break, and then we're going to have 3 more tellers. We're going to have a raffle in the middle, so save those little tickets that you've got. Please don't throw them away or wipe your nose like one of my children would do. And we're just excited for you to be here and start tonight. Yes.
Thank you. All right. So we might as well get started,
Yes.
right? All right. We have our first storyteller, and there she is, Michelle Young. Michelle Young has been telling stories since before COVID. She co-hosts Do Not Submit, which is a storytelling open mic at Friendly's in Berwyn. And she also produces a curated monthly variety show called All Skate at Jarvis Square Tavern in Chicago. Put your hands together for Michelle Young.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy November. How do you solve a problem like menstruation? My mom's parenting philosophy was sink or swim. I started my period the day before my junior life-saving test. And I told my mom, and she acted like this was foreign territory to her, which was a little upsetting. She said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "I think so." And then she yelled from the other word, "Do you think you could have just sharded, Michelle?" I yelled back, "Wrong hole, Mom." She walked back into the living room, told me to watch my mouth, and handed me $10. She said, "You're gonna have to go get them yourself." You see, my mom didn't drive. So I was gonna have to hop on my bike, and I was not quite 14, but as we all know, no teenager wants to go get their sanitary products themselves, ever. I still don't wanna do it. But when it's your first rodeo, sometimes you need someone to show you the ropes. That wasn't happening. My memory went back to 6th grade, to the menstruation talk, which was the last time that this had been covered with me. And I remembered the big pads that you could have ridden, like a magic carpet, and the white belt. And I said, and I was all lost in thought, and my mom said, "Snap out of it. Are you going?" And I said, "Okay, well, what am I getting? What should I be getting when I get there?" And she goes, "I don't know, something small, light flow." My mom's parenting instructions were not like IKEA's. So then as I was walking out the door, she said, "Well, go ahead and get some hamburger, get a pound of hamburger, some contadina tomato paste, and I'll make spaghetti for dinner." And I said, "Okay." I said, "By the way, I'm gonna have my junior lifeguard test tomorrow, and I'm wondering, do I need tampons?" And she said, "Well, I don't know, Michelle. I've never used a tampon in my life. I guess you could just get some small ones." And then she said, "If you get stuck, just ask somebody for help." And I thought to myself, I'll bleed to death first. I went outside and got on my bike and was remembering all the things I needed to get. And the number one thing on my list was to avoid Sonny Bertucci, the general manager of the IGA. Sunny and I went way back because as my mom didn't drive, I would go on my bike a lot and I would get dinner for us. So I got to the store and I made a beeline for the meat department, picked up the beef, and then I went to the Contadina tomato paste aisle and I looked at that lady and she looked so happy, you know, with her full ripe basket of tomatoes. And then I headed over to aisle 9, sanitary products. And when I got there, I was relieved that I hadn't run into Sunny or anybody else that I knew in the world. But it was short-lived because there were so many products. And as I looked through the aisle, I felt like I was a kid in a candy store without the candy. And I needed to bring some levity to it. And I decided from that moment on to start calling my lady products Lady Candy. So I was looking in the lady candy aisle at all of my choices, and this lady starts walking down the aisle, and I think to myself, be cool, keep it together. And she comes right up and she's shopping, maybe for herself, or maybe she's there for her daughter. Imagine that. And she says, honey, can I help you? Is this the first time? Are you buying this for yourself, or are you buying something for your mom? And my voice cracks and I say, I'm buying something for myself. And tears fill my eyes. And I think, this is not cool, crying in the lady candy aisle. And she says, it'll be okay. And she touches my arm and she grabs me some pads. And then I say, well, you know, tomorrow is my junior life-saving test. And I'm wondering if I need tampons. And she said, oh, okay, that's fine. And so she grabs me a little box of tampons and says, these will be perfect. You can put them in your bag. It'll be great. I said, okay, great. So I go home, and the next morning I open up the tampons, and I realize that they are those 40 ones. And the writing on the instructions was so small. And even back then, I already wore glasses and I couldn't read real well. Not that I wasn't a reading person, I'm just saying I couldn't read those little instructions. And I couldn't figure out the tampons. Now I was starting to freak out because I had to get to the pool and I was gonna ride my bike out there. So I decided that I would just put the whole tampon in, applicator and all. And I got on my bike and I rode 3 miles to Manners Park. Now, I ended up standing up most of the ride, which really didn't help the situation. And by the time I got to Manners Park, my manners were gone. I was cussing my God, my mom, Sonny Bertucci for selling those products from the devil. And I had brought more though, because I'm not a complete idiot. So I went into the bathroom and I'm like, I'm gonna solve this problem. Now for those of you who are on this educational journey with me that may not be in a female body, these tampons, you have to pull them and they click and then you can insert the applicator, you know, then you can insert the situation. We'll just leave it at that. So I finally, by accident, realized that you just pull it out and it connects. But even then, I was having a problem. You see, the horse didn't quite fit in the stable, meaning that the tampon didn't go all the way in. And I know you're like, why are you telling this story? Because I can, and you can too. So anywho, I said, fuck it, I've got to get out to the pool. And so I go out to the pool with my tampon, and that morning, you know, I mean, I always knew I didn't really have a mechanical mind. And that day kind of, you know, it kind of concreted that decision for me. So Mrs. Meyer is the instructor who was our teacher for swimming. And she said, okay, everybody jump in and swim 5 laps. And I jumped, I thought, okay, here goes, we'll see what happens. And I jumped in and my lady candy exploded in my swimsuit like Pop Rocks. And I was trying to swim, but I was taking on more water than the Titanic. And I decided that I was going to have to get out of the pool. So I gingerly go up to the side, I go into the bathroom again, and I think, fuck it. It's not Shark Week. I don't care. I don't need to wear a tampon. I'm sure it'll be fine. So, you know, to this day, I really want to say I think I'm a pool half full person. And so I took away some learnings from this experience, and that is that I'm not a sink or swim parent. I'm always there providing a lot of instruction. I also, feel that I sometimes lurk in the Lady Candy aisle, just wanting to help lost, wayward souls that might need some help. And finally, I think unless it's Shark Week, fuck it. Just don't even wear a tampon. Thank you.
My name, like most of you, I bought a lot of candy in my life. I also have 3 daughters, so I bought a lot of fucking lady candy. I had to buy my first candy at Faye's drugstore, F-A-Y-S. It was not for me, it was for my mother, who needed me to buy her a box of OB Super Plus tampons. And if you were in Faye's drugstore, it was to be seen. You know what I mean? It wasn't just because you're just there. Yeah, so that sucked. Yeah. Oh my God, Michelle, that was awesome. Thank you so much. I want to also say now, for all of us who don't have to buy, get the newest products, so my middle schooler had to go to summer camp and was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have my period. They have now period swimsuits. I know. And all you do, like, you're kind of like mildly jealous, like you want to be like, fuck that, you should have to do this. But it's also like, oh, I love that she doesn't have to freak out. Okay, so anyway. We're grateful for your story, Michelle, and we're really excited to have our next storyteller, Rose Spinelli. She lives in Rogers Park with her husband Peter and their cats, Corey, AJ, and the professor. That one I hear is a real doozy. She teaches public speaking at Loyola, and these events keep her a little skin in the game. So please welcome to the stage, Rose. Thank you.
Okay, hi. I got a nice recipe that my sister Maria, she gave it to me. The Americani, they make some good stuff. And my sister, she get a recipe from a friend. She make it with a pound cake. Oh, my kids, they love it, it's a pound cake. I like it too. It's a pound cake and some whipped cream. But I make it with the cream like we make it in Santa Broccio, eh? You gotta put in just a little bit of liqueur in, make it tasty berry. My husband, he like a Dianacetta, so I use a Dianacetta. Then you gotta put in the rye berries, fresh and sweet. Oh, it's a good. My kids, they wanna make it, so I tell my little Gina, you come by me, we take the bus, nice, we take the Versi bus, and we go to Marghetta and we buy some rye berries. She's 5, and we shop. I take some oatmeal, the Americana breakfasta, I take some banana, because we eat a lot of them, I take a spinach, because it look good, and I buy broccoli and a zucchini. I'm gonna make a nice parmigiana maybe. Ma then I look, ma I cannot see no rye berries. Ma no, I say, this cannot be. I see in a newspaper, I got a coupon. I say, Gina, you go and ask a nicely the guy, say, did you give me please where I can find some rye berries? She's a shy, this one. She don't wanna go. I don't know why my kids are so shy. All of the time that I say, no, be too shy. This is your country, it's not mine. You speak English, you talk, you know, be too shy. No try to be ignorante. All of the time she get mad, she cry. This one, you look in the face and she's gonna cry. She's too sensitive. But I ask her nicely and she gonna go. So I say, Joya, please, go and ask the guy. And she say, okay. She go and I waited by her. She come back and she's a cry. I ask her, why you cry? She no wanna tell. I get scared. I tell. You say to me why? This guy, he tell you something? I got 5 girls, and all of the time I worry. You gotta worry. The men, they feel it with the little girl. It's a danger if you don't not watch out, I tell my kids. But she still no wanna say why she cried. I shut my mouth, I buy the diabetes, I pay too much, and we go. When we stand by the bus stop, she no talk. I come down by her, look in the face, and I say, you gonna say to me, please, why you cry? This time she say, Mama, you say to me, ask her for raspberries. You the mama, you don't know. You supposed to teach me, no me teach you. You gotta say raspberries, no raspberries. She feels stupid. She think I stupid. I know. She cry, I cry, but this is not my country. I can teach English. I can teach cook the food and be a nice girl. But I don't go by school. Even in my country, I don't go by school. I can teach English. But I don't want to no more she cry. So I say, one day, I tell her, you're going to go by school and you're going to teach your mama good English. Because she's smart at this one. See, I say, you teach me about the raspberries. And I give a kiss. She no cry no more. My kids, they too sensitive. So I'm Gina in this story. And even though I wrote it for the fiction issue of the Chicago Reader all the way back in 2001, it's a true story. So I'm Sicilian, the first of my siblings to be born in the United States. And I remember they called me L'Americana, and I was never sure if they meant it as a compliment or an insult. What my mom was speaking in the story actually has a name. It's called Sishulish, which is the Sicilianization of the English language. So, for example, you drive your car to get to your job, and then you park your car when you get there, and you allacare the car so that it's safe. Now, what kind of car is none of your business. The way my parents spoke embarrassed me. What was also a problem for me is our food. Now, this was before Italian food became so embedded in American cuisine that the Olive Garden is allowed to exist. But I was the kid who brought for lunch the meatball and sweet pepper sandwich on homemade bread when all the other kids were eating bologna on white bread. I used to throw those sandwiches away every day, which I really regret now, not only because they were really good, but because if I wasn't so ashamed, I bet I could have made a decent side hustle out of those sandwiches. Because my mom was an amazing cook. Everybody said so. It was her happy place. And she would always cook enough to feed an army, which always bothered me, except that in some twisted genetic transmitted betrayal, I now do it too. I can't help myself. So even after my sisters and I moved out of the house, my mom would still cook for us, and she'd prepare these care packages so that we'd have food to eat for the rest of the week. Well, it was always too much. So I ended up sharing it with friends, which they loved, but then they'd start hounding me. They wanted to meet this rock star. So my parents lived in Park Ridge, which is a nice little suburb with manicured flower beds and pretty topiaries. And then there was my parents' house, which looked more like a working farm. Every square inch of it was filled with edible vegetation. There was a Little Shop of Horrors squash plant in a corner where a nice rose bush should go. Arugula was so abundant it came up through the cracks in the sidewalk. We had peach and plum trees that grew from pits that my parents snuck back in the country. People would walk by our house and point. So here's a scenario. I show up at my parents' house with some friends, and of course my mom has made a meal. But first is the mandatory tour of the garden, right? So my friends are looking around, they're amused, but they're also impressed. And here's what my dad says. Masalama Beach, look at the parcel. I got a bigger problem with the squares. So I know I have to translate. He's saying that the squirrels are eating his parsley. So now we're eating, and someone asks a question, probably out of politeness, something like, is that capers I'm tasting in the sauce? Now, simple question, right? But what that person does not know is the depth to which Sicilians do not trust outsiders. All questions present a threat to them. So if they continue along this line of questioning, the table starts getting really tense. My parents start giving each other the side eye, maybe there's a little bit of this, and then one of them will flip into Sicilian and say to me something that there is no good English translation for. But the essence of what they're saying was something like, are you fucking with me right now? So I knew that I had to quick flip into diverting the conversation and fake translate so that this person did not know how close they came to crossing the line. So my parents are gone now, and I'm proud of my heritage. In fact, I'm grateful. Because words like raspberries were often elusive to me, I developed a really great love of language. Except for my Sicilian, it's not really great. I speak it like an Americana. So why, after all these years, does this story still have such a hold on me? It's none of your business. Thank you.